Hello everyone, welcome to our 6th live and the final live, Ask the Vet live for this year, which is exciting and scary. I don't know where this year has gone. We have a few questions that I will get to. Here we are. Right, Tina was saying she won't be able to be here. It'll, yeah, have a great Christmas tonight. Let me turn that off. There we go. Right, Vicky, is being a vet what you thought it would be when you started your training? That is a really good question. For a lot of people, it's not. I think I took a bit of a longer way around going to vet school. So I did a degree in biology first, and then sort of moved to London, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and then decided to go back and do veterinary. So I think I was 24 when I started vet school. I'd already done quite a lot of traveling, and I already knew what I wanted out of... Hi, Catherine. Good morning. Vaguely knew what I wanted out of life and a job. And I was brought up by a family who have quite a farmish view of animals. So, which really helped, because I think a lot of people who go to vet school see are kind of expecting it to be nice and fluffy and happy all the time and playing with puppies and kittens, and the reality is obviously that it's not that. And hi, Zubaida. And I think because I had that little bit extra life experience, and because my family's kind of view of animals is very different to, I think, most people who go to vet school and things, and a lot more kind of practical. That helped me, and kind of my resilience is the wrong word. It helps me have a much more practical view of things, and so it is what I expected. It is. And if I could tell my younger self something now about being a vet, what would that be? That's also a good question. Because it is kind of what I expected it to be. I think probably I would just... I'd probably just tell myself to be a bit easier on myself. When I first graduated, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, you graduate and you think that you know everything. And I think I moved to Cambodia when I first graduated, and I'd been working as the only vet in a clinic for a while. But I had no idea what I was doing because I'd only just graduated and I had no one to learn off. So then I came back to the UK and thought that I kind of knew what I was doing, or at least that I was able to do things that actually I wasn't doing very well, or I'd picked up bad habits and things like that. So then that was quite difficult to then come back to the UK and feel quite behind. Hi, Letitia, and Ruski. So that was quite difficult. So I think I'd probably tell myself to maybe skip that. Well, I don't know. The time in Cambodia was also very useful and fun, and kind of showed me that I quite like dogs and cats, because before that I wanted to work with wildlife. Whereas then when I started working at the dog shelter in Cambodia, I realised I quite like dogs. So I'd probably just tell myself to be a bit easier on myself. I think that's probably what most people should tell themselves as well. So yeah, but yeah, it is what I thought it would be when I started my training. Sometimes I have to remind myself of that when it is hard. But yeah, I wasn't really under any illusions when I started training, which has helped, because a lot of my friends and a lot of people I studied with really struggled, because it is a hard job, and it's a very emotional job. I think what helps as well is that I like people, and a lot of people that go into veterinary do it for the animals, which obviously great. I love my own space and I love being alone, but I also do enjoy socializing with people and interacting with people and finding solutions that work for people as well. And that really, really helps. And that's really important for anyone who wants to go into veterinary, in any veterinary setting, really. Even if you're kind of a specialist surgeon and you barely see people, you still have to deal with clients sometimes. So that's really important. Susan, do you have any difficulties with wildlife and the dogs? Snakes, scorpions, spiders? Yes. Interestingly, Sky actually, sorry, someone just messaged me. Sky actually got bitten by, we're pretty sure it was a snake. Maybe 2.5, 3 months into me being here. And so it was one of those days. It was a really, really long day. And I think it was sort of 10 o'clock at night, and we just finished up in the clinic, and we went back to my cabin, and then noticed that Sky was being a bit weird, and we noticed that she was all swollen on one side of her face, her jaw, and when we clipped it, it was kind of bruising, and the inside of her sort of gums and her mouth was also bruising. And that was quite scary because we didn't know what kind of snake it was. And obviously my concern at the time was whether it was a venom that was going to cause necrosis and cell death, and kind of all of her skin would come off and things like that, or whether it was a venom that was going to cause blood issues, whether she was going to start bleeding out, that kind of thing. Luckily, she was fine. She's also not the easiest patient in the world. She's a typical vet's dog in that she will rip your face off if she doesn't want you to do something. But she was feeling so ill that she let us do most things, so that was quite good. But yeah, she recovered fine, but that was quite scary. And the next day we actually found, in the shelter, they found a viper. So we're pretty sure that it was a viper that got her. And then we've had a couple of dogs since. We had a dog called Bing. I don't know if you guys, some of you might remember him. He was a farmer's dog that got brought in when he was a puppy. He had his vaccines and everything like that, and then he was brought in again recently with a really swollen leg. And then when we clipped the leg, we could see two very kind of evenly spaced, they look like bite marks, but kind of tiny bite marks. They look like snake bites. So we're pretty sure he got bitten by a snake, and he was fine as well. Scorpions, we do have scorpions here. I've not seen any dogs that I think have been stung by a scorpion rather than a snake or anything like that, but I'm sure Louise has seen them, and it's definitely possible that we've seen them. We just don't know that that's what it is that's done it. We do get sort of phases of animals coming in with fluid-filled lumps. I don't want to say abscesses because they're not filled with pus. They're filled with kind of this what we call serosanguinous fluid, which is basically if you the way I think about it in the lumps is that if you have if you take blood off someone and you leave it, then the solid part of the blood separates from the liquid part of the blood, and basically what happens is when in these lumps, these fluid-filled lumps, I think that's what's starting to happen. So you get this kind of pinkish fluid that's not pure blood, but it's not pus or anything either. So I sometimes wonder if those are the result of like non-venomous snake bites or scorpion stings or something like that. So there's not a huge amount of venom, or the venom is not particularly toxic, and so it's not causing kind of systemic issues, but it maybe causes a localized inflammatory response, which then gives you this fluid-filled lump. So yeah, that's what I sometimes think might be the scorpions and the snakes. Spiders, I've not come across any venomous spiders here, or spiders that I have been told are venomous. So I'm going to say I don't think there are any, but I could be wrong. So yeah, mostly snakes and scorpions. Catherine, what do we do during our time off? Is there any countryside nearby? There is some countryside nearby. So usually if I have my van, I'll go away for a couple of days, either to Lake Dukan, which is about 2 hours away, or I'll head up into the mountains. There is a nice kind of hill mountain place about an hour away in Shaklava, called Safin Mountain, and that's quite nice. We go there, we go camping there sometimes. But currently my van is in the shop, and in the summer when it's too hot to go anywhere, I tend to, I'm not really a city person, but I'm kind of teaching myself to enjoy it. So I tend to get myself a massage. In the summer, there's a nice pool at a hotel, so I'll go sit by the pool, have a massage, and just kind of relax, I suppose, and take things very, very chilled. And obviously, like when it's colder, but when I don't have my van, then kind of similar, I sort of just do a bit of shopping, go out for coffee, go out for breakfast, and try and make sure I get out of the shelter quite a lot. Take the dogs for a walk, which is really nice because I don't often get to do that during the week sometimes. So it's nice to take them for kind of a long walk in the park. We've started playing fetch and stuff a bit more recently, so that's really nice. So Sky has a bit of a run around and we play fetch, which we can't really do in the shelter because there's not a huge amount of space for her to run, and if we play it in the airlock, then all of the other dogs get very excited, and then you just have hundreds of very overstimulated dogs, which isn't always good. So yeah, that's kind of what I do in Erbil, is just sort of enjoy the city, and spend money, really. And eat food and drink, and yeah, and then when I've got the van, we go out and we've been paddleboarding. I'm kind of hoping that next year I might be able to get a bit of skiing in. There is a ski resort, and I do have my skis here, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can do a bit of skiing, and then we try and go hiking and things like that. But it can be quite difficult on my own, especially because the mountains are kind of in areas where there's obviously been a lot of conflict, so a lot of areas there are still mines and things like that, so I do have to be a little bit careful about where I go. And obviously if I park up anywhere, usually I'll get someone knocking on the door, very innocently, just trying to make sure that I'm safe and asking what I'm doing and everything like that. But yeah, sometimes there was somewhere that I was hoping to go last time I had the van, but yeah, I was told that actually I'm not allowed to camp there with the van, so I'm gonna have to try and figure that one out because it's in an area that I really want to go to. So yeah, that's what I tend to do on my days off. Quite boring, really. Sort of pretty much what I would do in the UK, although it's much cheaper here, so it's quite nice. I do live a little bit more of a luxury lifestyle on my days off, I suppose, in terms of sitting by pools and going out for breakfast and getting massages and stuff. I don't think I had a single massage before I came out here. Oh no, I think I had one in my entire life before I came out here, and now yeah, I get them quite regularly, which is nice. Hi, Vicky. Oh wait, hang on a second. Vicky, I did answer your question about whether being a vet was what I thought it would be. So you might have to listen back for the long version. But the short version is that, yes, it is what I thought it would be. And what I would tell my younger self would just be to be easier on myself, I think. And that you don't have to... I think there's a very Western ideal of you have to be going at 100% all the time. And you're not working hard enough if you're not burning yourself out. And that is also something that a lot of vets find very difficult. But again, I think because I came into it slightly later, I knew that that wasn't what I wanted for myself. There was a little time a couple of years ago where I did burn myself out. And then ever since then, I've just sort of been like, we're not doing that again. So yeah, I think that's probably what I would tell myself, is to just go easy on yourself. And yeah, everything will be fine in the end. So those were the questions I had on the Facebook post. So I know that last week I started talking, before I got interrupted last week, I started talking about meloxicam, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and how we'd seen a couple of episodes of stomach ulcers rupturing here, which is something that I've never seen. It's a well-known risk of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, but it's something I've never seen in the UK, despite having animals on non-steroidals for a really long time. And last week I was kind of having a little look into it, and I found it really interesting because obviously in humans, yes, skiing in Iraq. I know it might not be very good, but we will see, hopefully. And obviously in humans, there's quite a big correlation between stress and stomach ulcers. Very well-known risk factor and everything like that. And so I was looking into it last week about whether the stress of living in a shelter environment would possibly increase the risk of animals getting stomach ulcers. And the general consensus is that yes, it can do, which means that we have to be more careful with things like the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and things like that, which you wouldn't necessarily always immediately think about when you're starting these medications, because they're medications that we use all the time. And you kind of... I found it really interesting that that kind of having to think about the different settings and things like that, because it sort of really brought home that you have to, obviously, it's kind of a holistic approach, right? You can't just do the same thing for every animal, every situation. You have to really consider the whole situation, including the environment and everything like that, which obviously you kind of do subconsciously, but it was really interesting to kind of have that reminder. And it is difficult because there's not really anything else we can use for kind of long-term pain relief in dogs and cats that are arthritic or things like that. So we just have to make sure we're monitoring them really, really carefully. And, you know, if they've not eaten their breakfast, they can't have it and that kind of thing. So yeah, I found that really, really interesting. Which is also nice because sometimes you get a bit bogged down in this job and you kind of stop finding the learning interesting because you're just constantly having to make decisions, constantly using your brain, and then you kind of just don't want to use your brain anymore. So it was quite nice to find something that I found interesting and I wanted to read the articles on, and I wanted to find out more about it. So that was quite nice. So yeah, that was what I was talking about last week before we got interrupted by a million things. Let me give you guys an update on the animals. So King Louis, bless him, he's got a bit of an ear infection. And I think there might be something going around because he was a bit sick the other day. And then this morning, Harley is also a bit quiet. and she kind of almost vomited earlier. She sort of went to vomit and then didn't. So we're keeping an eye on them, and hopefully it's just they've eaten something a bit dodgy, which as much as we try to control everything they eat, there's always going to be stuff that they get hold of or that is outside that they're going to eat that we can't control. That's just the kind of nature of the environment, unfortunately. But Louis is feeling better. He's not been sick again, and he's letting us give him his ear meds, which he didn't want to do when he first had the ear infection. And it was quite an acute onset one, which was again, I suppose, interesting in the sense that usually when I see ear infections, it's kind of that the animal's been shaking its head for a day or so or something like this, whereas Louis was literally absolutely fine at 7 p.m. and then at 10 p.m. Seamus came in to do the meds and noticed that his head was kind of to the side, and then went to touch his ear and he was screaming and in a lot of pain. So yeah, that was quite interesting. Gave him some steroids, which are a really good anti-inflammatory, but again, have to be careful. They have quite a few side effects, and you kind of have to taper them off. So I tend to give a week's course and then kind of do 3 days at twice a day, and 4 days at once a day, and then that kind of helps with the inflammation and things like that. He is very sweet. Let me see if I can, hang on, let me show you him. Hey, Louis. Nah, you feeling better? Yes. I've interrupted his nap time. And then we have little Harley here, who's also having a snooze. Hello. But yeah, feeling a little bit quiet, but still fairly playful, still eating fine and everything. And then we've got my two here, essentially in clinic jail because they're annoying otherwise. Oh, what am I doing there? So yeah, that's the update on these guys. And then we're not running out of cats, but we have a few cats have gone home. So Bryn's gone home, and then we have this little one, Gazzo, Gazzo, where are you? There you are. Sky, enough. We've got Gazzo, Gazzo had a abdominal hernia, so he came in and she came in and there was quite a big lump on the side, and it turns out that it was a hernia, so the muscle wall was had a hole in it, and Dr. Ali did the surgery. I wasn't actually here for the surgery, it was on my day off, and apparently all of the organs and things were quite adhesed to the muscle wall, so it kind of stuck to the muscle wall. So I think that was a really interesting surgery for Ali, which is nice. I'm glad that he's getting to do some more interesting surgeries, and we're kind of building his competency there and things, which is really nice. And he's getting a lot more confident, which is really, really nice to see. Really nice to see his confidence growing, and him enjoying kind of the surgeries and things more. I think before he was always very nervous about getting things wrong and things like that, whereas now he's a lot more confident, which is really nice. She's very cute, Gazzo. And then we still have, who else do we have? We have this one. Hello. So, showing you my face instead of the cat. This one has had a bit of a bad tummy, so he came in just for kind of monitoring, but I think he's doing a lot better now, so he'll probably go home this afternoon. And then we got this little one who came in the other day. He's a little bit nervous. This one is just in essentially for boarding whilst we wait for all of the bloods and stuff so he can go home. Rum, get out. So yeah, we've got quite a few animals that we're kind of holding for until they fly out. Probably next year at this point, I guess. Yeah, so that's the update on the clinic animals. And generally the shelter is, we're kind of keeping things a little bit, oh, thank you, Catherine, that's really sweet. Keeping these a little bit quieter. Louise arrives tomorrow, so that'll be good, but we're just kind of prepping for me being away for a couple of weeks, so just kind of like tying up all of the loose ends. Went through and checked all of the animals yesterday to make sure all of our kind of chronic cases were doing well and everything. They get regular checkups, so we kind of made sure we did that before I left. And yeah, just making sure everything's kind of set and everything will kind of flow easily when I'm not here, which I'm sure it will. Might even be better. I think Ali was joking yesterday that he was getting really excited for me to not be here, so he might enjoy it. But yeah, and then we've got 6 puppies now in the donkey room, which I would show you, but my internet won't go all the way out there, which is nice. Nugget is a teeny tiny one. If you look at our stories, you should, I think he's on our stories, but otherwise I'll get an update. But that's been quite good because he's so much smaller than the others. I was a bit worried he would get attacked, and actually the other day when we brought in a 6th puppy from the same litter, but we hadn't been able to get it the first day that we brought them all in, from the bigger litter, I had to keep kind of going back to the donkey room because I kept hearing yelping, and I was like, oh no, they're attacking Nugget. But they weren't, and he's actually doing really well, and it's quite sweet. You go in the morning and they're all just kind of cuddled up in bed, and he's in there. So I'll try and get some videos of that today, actually. That would be nice. And do I take my dogs with me? I don't take my dogs, well, I'm not taking them this time, because I'm just going home for 2.5 weeks and I'm flying. So you can't actually fly dogs directly into the UK. You have to fly them to Europe and then drive them in, so it just wouldn't be worth the time and money that it would take to get them there. And it's going to be really hard. Every time I think about it, it's yeah, it's a little bit painful. It's just going to be, I've left Rum for 3 weeks before. Well, when I came back from Cambodia, Rum actually stayed in Cambodia for about 3 months, because it was COVID and I couldn't get her back and things like that. So, but then since then, the longest I've left her is 3 weeks, and she was at my parents' when I was in California. I've never left Skye for more than a week, so it's going to be really interesting. It'll be good in the sense that they're here, this is their home, so they'll be nice and comfortable and happy, obviously. And I'll get lots of updates and things like that. And it'll be better whilst I'm at home because we've got my niece and my nephews and everything. It's going to be really busy Christmas. My little brother's getting married. And it'll be nice because I'll probably be able to travel around and see friends and stuff more. Yeah, Louise will look after them. But I'm definitely going to miss them. It's going to be, yeah, I'm going to miss them. It's going to be weird. A bit freeing, but weird, very weird. So, yeah, they're staying here. I'll make sure to bring them lots of Christmas presents, though. And I'm sure, I'm expecting to come back to 2 very fat dogs. Because I'm quite strict about what they get fed. And I think Ali, in fact, has already said that he's going to give them loads of treats and make them fat. So I'm expecting that. Thank you, Vicky. I think I probably should sign off now as well. I've got a few things I need to sort out before Louise comes tomorrow. So I will definitely FaceTime them, especially Christmas Day. I'll give everyone a call on Christmas Day and FaceTime them. But it was great to have you all on here, and I hope everyone has a great Christmas, a wonderful New Year, and we will see you again in 2026. Thank you. Oh, one final thing. If everyone could vote on My Giving Circle. We are still in the number 1 place, but there's only about 4,000 votes between us and second place. And if we win first place, if we're still in first place by the 30th of December, then we get £5,000, which is a huge amount of money for us, and would obviously go so far in helping the dogs and everything that we're doing here. So please, please, please vote on My Giving Circle this weekend, and have a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year, everyone.